You're tuned in to today's Live at 5. Before we jump into today's episode, I just want to remind you that this show is only possible because of the continued support of amazing people like you. You can continue to support us by subscribing to this YouTube channel, sharing an episode with a friend, or signing up to our Patreon page via the link in the description below. From there, you'll be able to access some exclusive bonus content and dive deeper into the world of Live at 5. Now, without any further ado, let's get right into today's show. We hope you enjoy. Hey there, welcome to Live at 5. It's Sunday, May 10th. And for those of you in London, this is one of our few Live at 5s that's accompanied by a rainy day. So we're lucky to have you all to look forward to. And Darcy, I was definitely looking forward to you today. So
thanks.
I even put on my blues just to honor yours.
Very nice. I approve.
Is your t-shirt also eggshell?
No, it's probably just covered in marinara sauce. I've been cooking all day.
I love like going into a paint shop and seeing like all of the names that they come up for white. It's amazing. It's like ecru is my favorite.
Ecru.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? Karis Matthews played us on the radio today. I don't know if you know this, but it was really nice. She gave a really nice plug to Live at 5. And obviously we had Steve on. It's just like a really nice thing. And she was saying how, a lot of people are doing stuff and that we're trying to give people a taste of Smitty's, and that it was just really nice to kind of hear all that on the radio. So big thank you to her.
Thank you, Karis.
Yeah. And also in the world of radio and podcasts, I've been listening to this great podcast that I recommend to everyone called Ways of Hearing. And Alex Toledano, who does our Weird and Wonderful global music selections and archive stuff, he sent this my way, and I think it's just great. It's Darce. It's from that guy from that Galaxy 500 band that you said you knew. I didn't know.
Yeah, they were sort of in the late 80s, early 90s in the alternative music scene. Sort of, I guess, the American equivalent of shoegaze. If anyone listening is aware of what that is. Yeah, it's sort of like sounds like you were listening to your music after it had gone through the washing machine or while it was in the washing machine. It's just kind of very fuzzy and very like lots of sort of just really fuzzy and really loud. My Bloody Valentine are probably the biggest and most famous example of it.
Right. Okay, well, interestingly, this guy is kind of the son of a jazz singer, and has this kind of, the two tidbits that I want to share that stuck out to me from this that I had never known was one, that when Tribe Called Quest sampled the beginning of Walk on the Wild Side, the Lou Reed thing, it's that little iconic bass thing, right? Yeah. Lou Reed owned the whole song.
Of course he did.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah.
However many millions, billions of records that they sold, Lou Reed got all the royalties because that was his piece of music. And the second one was when the Beatles came over to America, Frank Sinatra criticized them, because this whole podcast talks about, it talks about recording technology, and it talks about the ways that we hear music. It talks about everything from latency in a studio environment, which is like the delay, between musicians, if people haven't worked in studios before. And they even talk about compression over the phone lines, how phones have changed the way we hear and the way we converse. But anyway, Sinatra's comment on people like the Beatles, and he says a lot of the youngsters coming out with music now, when they sing, I can't understand the words. And I think if I could understand the words, I'd probably think much more highly of what they're doing. Wow. I thought that was isn't that a great criticism?
That's really interesting. I don't know exactly what he means, because to me, the Beatles sound, I can understand every word they're saying, but I guess, there's probably less of the theater in it, like the, that sort of musical style, like Frankie and stuff, there was a lot, it was like a performance, it was entertainment, there was a lot of diction, There was a lot of
Yeah.
sort of amplification of the voice. They were used to playing in halls, maybe sometimes even without a microphone. So they
Sure.
were,
Yeah, and there was that kind of the effort to. I mean, I think he was probably referring to the rock and roll stuff as well. I mean,
sure.
things like Louie Louie. I mean,
Yeah.
I still don't know what the guy's saying in that song.
And Little Richard, who sadly passed away yesterday.
That's a yeah. You know that kind of. So you know, we're gonna pop the or Darcy, if you can pop the link to that podcast in either the comments or somewhere here. I think people who listen to the show would definitely find that interesting. And moving on to our guest today, we have a guest who has, I must say, very fine diction. Yes, indeed. I understand every word he says. But he's also a great singer, guitar player, friend, and just a powerhouse of good energy. And his name's Marcus Bonfanti. Before we meet up with him, we're going to jump into some music from him that he sent through earlier. Darce, what's this first tune?
This one's called Rag Mama Rag. Marcus actually introduces where it came from in the video, so let's take a listen and see.
Perfect. Rag Mama Rag.
It's a song by Blind Boy Fuller. The song is called Rag Mama Rag. Well, I'm going downtown with my head in my hand, looking for a woman, ain't got no man. Might as well be looking for a needle in the sand, looking for a woman, ain't got no man. I said, rag, mama, oh, rag, mama, oh, rag, I'll never do that, rag. I'm gonna get me one woman, better get you two, one for me and my buddy too. Got me a wife and a sweetheart too. If my wife don't love me, then my sweetheart do. Oh, rag, mama, oh, rag. All right, mama do that right, yeah. I never thought my woman cheat me so. Love a man standing at my back door. Ah, now don't you know you gonna reap just what you sow? Oh, rag, mama, all right, yeah, do that rag. I saw my woman downtown, she's holding his hand, pistol in my pocket, blackjack in my hand. Oh, well, don't you know now I'm gonna get that so and so. Oh, rag, all right, I'll do that rag. All right. Downtown with a pistol in my hand, looking for a woman, ain't got no man. Might as well be looking for a needle in the sand, looking for a woman, ain't got no man. All rag, mama, all rag, mama, all rag, honey, do that rag.
Hey there, welcome back. And we're joined now by Marcus Bonfanti. How are you, Marcus?
I'm good, thank you, Giacomo. How you doing?
Yeah, man. It's a real pleasure to see you and to hear you.
Yeah, you too, man. It's been a while, man. It's been a little while since we've been together.
Yeah. I can't remember. I can't remember the last time, but I remember my favorite chat that I had with you recently was when we did that jazz before jazz was jazz thing. Do you remember that?
That was great.
That was just, you killed that. You were just amazing at that.
That was such a nice thing to be involved in, man. I brought my daughter on to that. She still talks about that. She really enjoyed that day.
Wow, great. Yeah, me too. And do you remember when we were stood up in the room, because Joplin was up there spinning records, and we had a long talk about one of my heroes, and I'm sure one of yours, Big Bill Broonzy.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I remember many a chat me and you've had about Broom. That was the most sober one we've had, but
Yeah, the one we both remember.
yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, I think of you as a musician of, you know, many hats, and you know, you move through styles without kind of, you don't alert people to when you're changing gears. But the period that you really hit, that a lot of you know, kind of blues oriented or kind of performers don't grasp, is that early Mississippi Delta blues kind of texture and sensibility, with, you know, just you and the guitar and not being scared of that. How did you get into that? How did you discover that?
Well, I got into that backwards, I would say. So I first sort of was aware of blues music through listening to Led Zeppelin. So when I was about 18 years old, maybe a little younger, 17, I heard Led Zeppelin 4 for the first time, and it sort of changed everything. I'd never heard music like that. The music I was played when I was younger was great music. My parents used to play me a lot more folk and things like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, which is very bluesy, but they I suppose they played more Beatles, so I was more used to songwriters. I heard Zeppelin and I just had to know what the hell was going on. I couldn't comprehend that a band could, if they had pulled that sound out of the air, it was the greatest thing that had ever happened to the world. And if they hadn't, I had to know what they were listening to make that noise. And then I basically went backwards and found out that, I remember actually, it was when I bought Led Zeppelin 2. It was after they got sued by Willie Dixon's estate for A Whole Lot of Love. So on the record was Page Plant, Dixon. And I was like, oh, I don't know, who is Dixon? And then I found out Willie Dixon, and then the doors opened, man. And I just kept going back till I found people like Blind Boy Fuller, Blind Blake, Robert Johnson, people like that. And then, yeah, it's just, that's where I found my place. That's where I thought, wow, one man, one guitar, that's the best sound I've ever heard.
Right. And I mean, that's amazing about Zeppelin. I mean, I'm a big Zeppelin fan as well. Darcy is a Sabbath guy.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That if I'm gonna go to like the bluesy British stuff, Groundhogs and
Groundhogs there, Darcy.
Yeah.
They don't get talked about enough, man.
They don't.
Yeah. But it's amazing how much, you know, what those bands made, you know, because it's funny to compare. Like Darcy sent me, what was that version of When the Levee Breaks?
Memphis Mini.
Oh, man.
Memphis Mini. You're listening to that, and then you listen to what Zeppelin does with it. You know, it's like
completely different.
It's completely different. And I think, you know, the way that the kind of British, you know, blues explosion or whatever it was kind of mutated all that stuff. It's a lot louder, but the old stuff still is just as heavy and emotionally it punches hard, you know, even though it's just one guy and a guitar or you know, woman and a guitar.
That was what always got me about it is exactly what you just said there, Giacomo. When I first heard a Led Zeppelin guitar riff, I thought the world was going to end. It was then when I first heard Robert Johnson singing like 3220 blues.
Yeah,
it's as powerful, but in a totally different way. I honestly thought it changed everything I thought about the world. I just thought, how does that sound exist, man? How does one man do that? And like you said, like Memphis Mini, similar thing. Bessie Smith, similar thing, man. There's just, the list goes on.
So have you ever done you know, pilgrimage to the States, or did you ever consider, you know, obviously you're Italian, you grew up in London, but you have this, you know, this knowledge and feel for that, you know, that American sound. Did you ever consider moving, or did you spend a lot of time there, or is it just like records?
I've had the privilege to tour that place a lot and had some time to look around, which has been great. There was one moment where I must have been 21 years old. And my best friend was out in America. He was living in New York. He was out there doing like a law internship. I think it was one of them things where he got a degree in history and then went, oh, what am I going to do? And then this thing came up, said, hey, move to New York for a year. You can do an internship at a law firm. And it was like, that sounds like fun. Went out there and just kept phoning me saying, dude, you got to come out here. You got to come out here. And I was so close to moving out. And
Wow.
I don't regret it. I don't regret it because I've been there plenty of times and had some great times. But yeah, there's been a few times where I have thought, you know what, I should just sell everything, move out to the States. Yeah. But that's a young man's game. I'm not so young no more.
Well, you've done so much here, so it's, you know, we'd don't go.
I'm here to
So we're going to jump into some more music from Marcus. This is I can't remember what this one is. All Around the World. Okay, this is Marcus and his guitar, All Around the World. You're listening to Live at 5. Please remember to, as always, subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out the links down below in our description for more info about what we're up to.
This is a song originally by Titus Turner, made famous by Little Willie John. It's called All Around the World. All around the world, well, I'd rather be a fly. Lay on with my baby, stay with my woman till I die. I'm gonna run into the jungle with a 10-foot ditch. Run into the jungle, fighting lions with my switch. Oh yeah, you know I love you, baby. Oh, I know I love you, baby. Well, if I can't have you, baby, I'll tell you. Grits and groceries, eggs and poultry, is a Mona Lisa was a man. All around the world, yeah, I got blisters on my feet. Gotta find my baby alone and bring her home with me. Running to me, baby, yeah, be convinced. If you don't find me, girl, well, you ain't got no sense. Oh, 'cause I know I love you, baby. Well, I got to help you, baby. 'Cause if I don't love you, baby, I tell you, grits and groceries, eggs and poultry, is a Mona Lisa was a man. Oh, Lord. The world, yeah, well, I never will forget. I lost all my money, lost my woman and my pet. Gonna run into me, baby, yeah, and settle for nothing less. I give up all my good time, good Lord, and sell for happiness. Oh, you know I love you, baby. Well, you know I love you, baby. Oh, now if I don't love you, baby, grits and groceries, eggs and poultry, is a Mona Lisa was a man.
Hey there, we're back. And Marcus, tell us about the time that you met Robert Plant.
We met, well, actually, it's quite funny. There was the time I almost met Robert Plant, which was first, which my brother still ribs me about, because he's always said it's like, it's not a story because you didn't go over and say hello. And I was opening for Chuck Berry for 2 nights at the Jazz Cafe. It was Chuck Berry's 80th birthday, and he was doing 2 nights at the Jazz Cafe. And they'd asked me to open the show, which was great. And I mean, I could tell you many stories just around those nights. But at one point, my brother come down. He was helping me sell some CDs, and we were hanging out during Chuck Berry's show. And he pointed up at the gallery. This is like old Jazz Cafe. I think they still have the gallery, don't they? Where
yeah,
you eat the dinner and that. And he pointed up. He goes, "That looks like Robert Plant." I was like, "Oh, that is Robert Plant." He said, and my brother said to me, he said, "He saw your set, you know." He said, "He's been up there all night." He said, "You should go and say hello." I was like, "Yeah, I could do." Come on, do it. Otherwise, this isn't gonna be the day you met Robert Plant. I was like, "No, you're right." So I psyched myself up, walked all the way up, got about 2 feet from him, and then just turned off to the left and walked out to the toilet. To say so. that was always like my brother used to say, "Oh yeah, remember that day you almost met Robert Plant?"
Yeah, but it is still the day that he saw you play. I mean, that's pretty good.
Exactly.
Hey, you played with us at the Jazz Cafe. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Well, that's almost as good of a story as the time you almost met Robert Plant. So what was the time that you actually met him?
I actually met him. It was really cool. He's a very cool guy, man. And there was a band I had a few years ago now called St. Jude, which was a rock and roll band. And we were asked to do. It was the drummer from Traffic, Jim Capaldi. His family. He died a long time ago. His family brought out a book called Mr. Fantasy. He used to write all the lyrics for Traffic. So they brought out a collection of his poems, his lyrics, and Bob Harris was a big champion of Traffic always. So he put on a night at Maida Vale, and we were asked to play 3 Traffic songs. We just thought it was going to be like some publishers who did the book, maybe members of Jim Capaldi's family, which is quite high pressure because you're about to go out and play a bunch of songs from his band. So we stepped out onto the stage, and the first person I saw was Robert Plant, stood right in front of us. And then the Hammond player had it worse though, man, because he went onto his Hammond, and Steve Winwood literally had his elbow on the Hammond. Just like Steve Winwood was the Hammond player in Traffic. He had his elbow on the Hammond, looking as my friend Matt sat down to sort of play. Anyway, we played. They were all perfectly lovely. And then afterwards, I went out the back of the theatre for a cigarette, and Robert Plant was sort of making a little exit into his car. A few people sort of, stopped him for an autograph, and I just sort of joined. And he said some nice things about the band, some nice things about my playing. Wow. We had a little chat about football because he's a big Wolverhampton Wanderers fan. So, and then he just drove off. He was a lovely bloke, and it didn't feel like talking to a piece of rock and roll royalty. It felt like just talking to a really nice guy.
Wow, that's so cool. Isn't that nice? I mean, especially with the, I think about various, you catch a person of note in your audience every once in a while. I mean, it's London, isn't it? And we play at places that people want to hang at, and you're gonna see faces that you recognize. And it's always amazing to me that those people just want to enjoy music just like any of us would. They're not highly critical, sharks that are just looking to. No, that's the critics. That's the people that write the articles. They're just there to have a good night out.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe you don't get this, but I'm sure now but I'm sure when I think back, and I know it used to happen to me, is when I was playing in London and another musician who I didn't know so well would walk in, I'd be a little bit more on edge because I'd be like, oh man, because there's sometimes that attitude of not everyone is always supportive because you don't know everyone, but sometimes you'd be like, oh, that guy's incredible player. I bet he's sitting there listening to me thinking, what a load of rubbish. That's when you're younger, then you grow up and you realize that none of that matters. But yeah, it was always other musicians that put me on edge, or family members. Whenever family members walk into a
family is tough, isn't it? Or people that knew you when you were a kid. I think that's really I get really nervous about that, man. Yeah, me too. So you've been playing at Smitty's since pretty much since we opened, which I think is, I love the legacy of that. And you brought down the duo with Jay in the beginning, and then you met people like Femi Colioso. You guys had a band for a while, a trio, and then Mikey Sorbello and all these people. But I just wonder, like, for you, what's your favorite format to play in if when you take a gigging band out on the road?
Well, with my solo project, it's always been either me solo or a trio. With my own stuff, because it's sort of slightly heavier, with the albums I've released, they're a little bit more like the late 60s British sort of blues explosion stuff. It's been electric bass and drums and myself since 2009 when I started doing that kind of stuff. But then over since I was playing at Smitty's, really, to be honest, it was since I met Jay Darwish.
Great bass player, great guy.
Yeah, great. You're right, and that's how I know you actually, Giacomo, because I remember when I met you, we were just having a little coffee outside Smitty's, and you passed by, had a little chat with Jay. And
Jay said, you got to meet Marcus. He's a great, he's a great singer and guitar player. And I just remember you being like, portrait of humility, and I respect that so much, man. And you play your ass off, you know.
Listen, man. But that actually meeting with Jay was really got me into the London scene again, because I hadn't been playing in London for years.
Right.
At one point I was sort of considering leaving London because all my touring was out in Europe and the States, and I was thinking, what am I actually doing here? Paying all this rent to actually, and I don't really go out in London. And anyway, and it was then when I met Jay, and we formed a duo, and then played down at Smitty's a bunch of time. Met Femi through you, which again was a random meeting, because that's what I loved about Smitty's. There was some times where you just get booked and you wouldn't know what you were going down to do. And then I remember one night I sat at the bar, and I was chatting to a guy for about 10, 15 minutes before, I can't remember his name now. I think it might be Mark. It's a long time ago. Before he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm playing here tonight. He goes, oh, me too. I said, I must be the double bass player playing with you. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then we hung out, and I said, you know who else is playing? He was like, no, not really. And then Femi walked in. It's like, Femi, you playing tonight? Yeah, I'm playing tonight. Oh, wicked. Okay. And then
great.
Came down and sat in later on. And it was just a really great evening of, I think Artie came down and was part of the band. A band that only ever played together once and will never play together again, but had a great evening.
Wow. Yeah, Femi came on the show and mentioned, kind of the similar thing about you, that, that place was great, or is great. I mean, when it's open for forming those musical bonds, because it seems to be the little, the honey that attracts the kind of the cool bees around that seem to get along with each other. And it's a good mixing pot, I think, for all of us.
And it's just got a real nice vibe about it. I as soon as I walked into that bar, I just thought, I've been looking for a place like this for a long time in London.
Yeah.
It's just,
Thanks,
felt
man.
right. It felt like there was a community, all those things that you kind of hope for. And you kind of think London should have loads of them. And it's surprising it doesn't have as many as you'd think. So
true. So true. Well, Marcus Bonfanti, thank you for talking to us today. It's just been such a pleasure to catch up. You'll be happy to know, and Darcy as well, that our record of the day is Autobiography in Blues, which is just here. And Darcy, tell us about this, because you sent it to me, and I immediately put it on, and I thought, this is the one.
Oh, it's great, man. It's Lightning Hopkins, who is a Texan blues guy from the late 50s into the 60s and beyond. This record, I think maybe might have been like the third that he put out professionally, and it's great. It's just really sort of heartfelt blues. And I came to Lightning Hopkins actually through a film called The Blues According to Lightning Hopkins, and it's just, if you ever get a chance to watch that movie, if you have the Criterion channel, it's on there, and I think you can buy it pretty easily. It's beautiful. It's just him and his community in Texas playing the blues and like partying and hanging out, eating barbecue, just sitting on porches. It's a beautiful film, and once I saw that, I just fell in love with his music and kept going back. And this is just if you want to like hear what Lightning Hopkins sounds like, there's a lot of records when he's got like a full band behind him, but this is sort of just like him and the guitar for most of it, and it's just great stuff.
Marcus, he must be one of your guys.
I love Lightning Hopkins. Yeah.
Gotta be. You've got so much of that.
He's crazy, man. Lightning Hopkins is crazy, and there's some pretty good footage on YouTube of him playing live as well. Yeah, you'll know what I mean when I say he's crazy, man.
He's so stylish as well. There's so much like attitude in there.
So brave, man. I remember, like, I used to think that if you couldn't play a solo and comp at the same time, why would he'll sit there and he'll just play a couple of notes.
Yeah.
And nothing will happen. You're like, oh, the ball's on that guy, man.
Yeah.
It's just like great music, man. I love it.
For sure. And that's the thing too. Like, I think, like he managed to be the whole band just with his guitar. Like, he's so percussive. He's playing melodies and he's singing like counter melodies over the top, playing bass lines. It's an amazing, like, I think, that's the thing about a lot of these blues singers, is that sometimes I think their guitar playing is just so overlooked. And like, he's really using his instrument to the most that it can be used. It's quite astonishing.
Definitely. I forgot, Marcus, to ask you the question that we ask everyone who comes on the show, which always produces some interesting stuff, which is, can you describe or remember, I'm sure there are many, but can you remember one musically humbling experience that you had that you thought, wow, I'm doing the right thing, or I'm doing something that, that an experience that elevated your kind of musical journey?
Yeah. To be honest, I've had quite a few, because I've been quite lucky in my life to play with people that I've really respected over the years. I suppose that the one I'll do now is 2 years ago, my band Jawbone got to back Clapton for 3 songs at an event.
Wow.
And he stood about 2 feet to my left and played 3 songs and sang them, played them. And I think after the first song, when I'd sort of woken up from this weird sort of like, I couldn't quite work out where I was or what was going on, I looked over and I just thought, oh my God, that's Eric Clapton. And then in my head, I was thinking, oh man, these Clapton licks sound great. It's Clapton, isn't it? And it was one of those things where I thought, do you know what? That's a night I'll never forget. And a bit like you said there, Giacomo, when you think, is everything going all right? I think, hey, look, if I've just played rhythm guitar behind 3 choruses of a Clapton solo, I think I might be doing all right.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, making the time. Hopefully see you soon, play together soon, chat about Brunsey, all that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Cool. So we're going to play you out with another of Marcus's performances. This is a classic old Lead Belly tune called Where Did You Sleep Last Night? And thanks to Darcy O'Connor, as always, as our producer, and thanks to Marcus, and thanks to you for listening to these programs. Remember to subscribe to this channel and to check out the links in our description below. Tomorrow we have Ferg Ireland coming on again to do another live gig. So that doesn't happen for, the latency thing prevents us from playing a lot of music over the internet, but we've kind of figured out some internet sorcery to be able to do it. And we'd love to see you there. So tune in tomorrow live at 5. And thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Song by the great Huddy Ledbetter, better known as Ledbelly. This was made famous by the band Nirvana on their MTV Unplugged concert. But this one's going to be a little bit more like the original. This one's Where Did You Sleep Last Night? My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun don't ever shine. I shivered the whole night through. My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows. In the pines where the sun don't ever shine. I'd shiver the whole night through. Well, her husband was a hard-working man, only about a half a mile from here. His head was found in a driving wheel, and his body has never been found. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where that sun don't ever shine. I'd shiver the whole night through. girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines where the sun don't ever shine, I'd shiver the whole day through.
Thanks again for listening to Live at 5. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with every episode. You can also click on the link in the description below to sign up to our Patreon and find out where you can sign up for Kansas Smitty's memberships, as well as purchase records and merch. Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow, Live at 5.